My name is Alex Chen. I know you're afraid. I am too. I just need your help to get to the truth.
Life is Strange True Colors did something that I think is really great. Something for me personally is becoming rarer and rarer in games. It gave me a genuine emotional reaction, fitting considering the concept of the game. More than a couple of times I was on the verge of tearing up, and I always love when a game can get me so invested in the story and characters that I begin to care so much. True Colors was developed by Deck 9. They previously made the Life is Strange prequel Before the Storm. The other games in the series were made by Don't Nod Entertainment. Now, Life is Strange as a franchise is one I hold in pretty high regard. The original game is one of my favorites, and it left a really big impression on me when I originally played it back in 2015. I always felt the Life is Strange series did the heavy story-based interactive movie genre of games, like Telltale, the best. Really feeling like your decisions mattered and had consequences, and it's the same here. So what's the story this time around? Was it any good? So I don't want to spoil anything, so I'll keep it a bit vague, but if you've seen the trailers for the game, you know the big event that happens in Chapter 1. Alex Chen is a 21-year-old who has grown up in a foster family and has a pretty troubled childhood. She reunites with her brother Gabe after 8 years when he encourages her to return. Tragedy strikes, and Alex investigates the truth behind the accident using her empathy powers. Along the way, Alice meets many citizens of Colorado's picturesque mountain town, Haven Springs. I thought the story was very good. I became addicted to finding out what would happen next, staying up till almost 2 a.m. the last couple of nights, desperate to see the next piece of the puzzle, what tough choices I'm going to have to make next, the characters we're going to interact with. I thought the overall story was really good, and it had a pretty emotional ending in my opinion. But arguably the most important aspect of these kind of games is the characters you'll meet along the way. I really loved all these characters. It really feels like this small, tight-knit town where everyone knows and cares about everyone else. And if you played Life is Strange Before the Storm, you might recognize one of the more prominent characters in the game, but there wasn't a single character that I didn't want to talk with. I was walking around the entire town talking to everyone, looking at everything, and speaking of looking at everything, the graphics here are actually pretty darn good. Definitely a step up from the previous games. And there's this absolutely wonderful part in the game where you take part in a LARP, and the combat becomes turn-based like in an RPG, and the entire part was just awesome and so much fun. I also really enjoyed that you play as an adult in this game. Might be because I'm just getting older and older, but it was nice getting out of the high school setting. You have a small town that you can explore, but it's more like you have a section of Main Street, but the smaller areas are packed with amazing detail and it looks great. This is a place that I would love to actually visit. It looks stunning. Now the gameplay. If you've played a Life is Strange game before, you'll feel right at home. This time the supernatural powers return, but it's not the same as seen in the other games. Alex has empathy powers. I promise it's actually really neat. Maybe not as neat as rewinding time, but I think it's a super interesting power that was explored pretty well. Using your powers, you can try and find the best way to help someone deal with their grief or anger, etc. And if you make a mistake, there can be some big consequences down the line in the game. I also really like the vibe of this game. The music choices I thought were really great. One part had me thinking that we're about to jam out to some Eminem for a second. You'll probably know what I'm talking about when you hear it in the game, but the music choices in the game I thought were really great. I enjoyed all of it. In this game you have to make some really tough decisions, and it's going to ask you some tough questions, making you wonder what's truly the better option. Questions that I've asked myself in real life. Now there is one possible issue I kind of had with this game, and this is going to depend on who you are, right? And it's not really a problem, more of an observation that this could be different depending on who you are. But I feel like $60 was a bit expensive for what we got. I think around $40 would have been the sweet spot, and I believe that's what the previous Life is Strange games cost for the entire season bundle, right? But then again, I got more out of this $60 game than I've gotten out of most other games that cost about the same, or even more. And I played those games for much longer, but this one definitely left me with much more of an impact. So for me, the $60 ain't too bad. I've paid a lot more for less. And I also picked up the Ultimate Edition for $80, since it promised the Life is Strange Remastered, which is $40 by itself. So I was able to tell myself I was saving some money. And we also have some DLC for the game coming along at the end of the month. and I'm excited to play that, and I'm honestly really looking forward to replaying the game in the future. Seeing what different choices I could have made. That's not something I normally do with these kind of games, but I'm actually really looking forward to doing that. But in conclusion, I think this is a great game. I've been in a gaming funk for over a month, not having the motivation to play much of anything, and this game reminded me why I love video games. They can tell amazing stories with great characters that I'll remember for years to come. I'd definitely give this game a recommendation. If you've played it, tell me what you thought, or tell me what your favorite Life is Strange game has been so far. I'm not sure if I like this more than the original, but the fact that I'm not sure just shows how much I really like this game.